Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video for Design Manufacture Task 4. We're sticking with idea generation this week, and if you've read the presentation accompanying this, you will realise that we're doing morphological analysis. So by now you should know what morphological analysis is. I've pre-selected some of the columns for this task, so I know what I'm going to do already. When it comes to selecting things for morphological analysis, feel free, you could do it randomly, or you could sort of do it with a bit more thought and think, well, I'd quite like to do, a two-legged cat chair made by injection molding. So you can be a bit more specific as well. So feel free to choose them randomly or be a bit more specific in your choices. So we're going to do 4 different types of drawing. We're going to do 3 pictorial views and an orthographic sketch. For our idea generation, I can't stress enough how important good quality sketching and drawing is. It allows us to explore a lot of ideas quickly, and also means that you're going to generate marks in your folio for good quality sketching and drawing. So we're going to explore the 4 different types of drawing with this as well. Right guys, so I'm just going to crack on with this. My first chair that I'm going to do, it was a one-legged chair with a mouse theme. With mixed manufacture methods. It had a secondary function of the table, and it had to use sort of rounded shapes. So, and it had to be done as an oblique drawing. So I'm going to post some other videos that go into the different types of drawings a bit more in depth. If you've done those already, fantastic, you'll just be able to crack on with this. But we'll post some more in-depth videos on how to do each of the different types of drawing. But I'm just going to crack on just now. So an oblique view. When we come to an oblique view, we generally draw the side view first, but for each of these views I'm going to crate things up first. I like using the crating technique because it's almost like we become sculptors or carvers, and we start chipping away at this big block that we've got to come up with our shape. So when I'm crating up here, I'm lightly drawing out a rectangle. That's the rough proportions of a chair. So if I imagine a chair sitting in there, so I've got a rectangle that I would say is rough proportions of a chair. How do I make this a crate? Well, an oblique is using 45-degree lines coming out from my corners here. So first of all, I just want to do a little practice 45-degree line. So if that's my 90-degree right angle, 45 degrees is going to go right through the middle of that. So that's the kind of angle I'm looking for, my 45-degree lines. So 45-degree lines coming out of here. Now you can use a ruler for this. I prefer sketching and drawing should be quite a quick exercise, and I find using a ruler kind of slows me down. But feel free to use a ruler if that's what you're more comfortable with. Now I've added 45-degree lines coming out from each corner. The next thing is to add on the back shape. Now don't fall into the trap of joining up the ends of these lines. I always just go for another parallel line to this one that I've got already, rather than joining up the ends of the lines. So I might end up with little tails, and this is going to go straight down parallel to the line that I've got at the front there. So I've got my oblique crate sketched out now. Now what I want to do is on this side sketch in my rough shape for a chair, I suppose. Now it had to be mouse themed, mixed manufacture, it had to be table, and it had to be kind of rounded. So rounded is what I'm looking at just now. So perhaps I could make this a bit more rounded in shape. I'm actually going to add a bit on the back here. I'm going to curl this around here. And I'm going to round it out here. Now, when I'm going from a seat level, I normally go for about halfway up my box. It obviously depends on what kind of seat you're going for, whether it's a sofa or something a bit lower. So there's my rough side view of this chair. Now, I had to have one leg. I think I've got one leg there. If I just make it a solid base, it will have one leg. Now that I've got my kind of side sketch in, what I'm going to do is project these lines across at 45 degrees again, so where I would have a corner. Now I've got rounded corners on this, so rather than I don't really have a corner to project across, so what I like to do is project where the start and end of this curve really happens. So I suppose it maybe starts about there, here, and it ends about here. And I'm just going to do the same again here, so the curve starts here and ends up here. I'm just projecting those lines across at 45 degrees. And again, my curve starts here and ends there. So now what I want to do is replicate this shape that I've got in the front at the back here. So I know this is going to curve down to this point, and then it's going to, I can see my 45 degree lines are way off here. It's going to come down, it's going to hit this curve, it's going to go across. It's going to start curving at that point, and it's going to come all the way down to there. So now I've got a sort of oblique view of a chair with one leg. It's not very mouse-like yet though, I don't think, so I'm going to try and make it a bit more mouse-like. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that. So one of the things I associate with mice is maybe big ears. So I'm wondering if I can maybe turn a couple of these bits into ears at the back. So this perhaps would be the ears coming down. Maybe a sort of split in the back of the chair. Now, I do recommend that you kind of draw quite large. You can see how big my designs are. It's hard to put in detail when you draw something really, really small. So by making it a little bit larger, I can put in a bit more detail. So I'm trying to make that look like ears. Don't know how successful I've been, but it's just a sketch idea just now. I think I'm going to put some eyes on the back here as well. Trying to make it cartoony. The theme was to make a chair for a child, so I think making it a bit more cartoony might be a bit more appealing. Perhaps I could have whiskers coming out the side here. Something else I associate with mice. I'm not sure what I could use them for yet, but this is just exploring ideas just now. A couple of whiskers coming out. And so my secondary function was to have a table as well. I'm going to have to try and think of how to put a table in here. I think I would maybe have it as a side table. So I'm just sketching on where I'd maybe have this table. Now the other thing that I associate with mice is cheese. So maybe I could have this like a block of cheese coming out the side. I'm not sure. So let's see if we can do that. So project this out at 45 degrees. I'm going to actually put that in as a curve, like a sort of cheese round. And that's what I'm looking for. And in cheese you sometimes get them holes, so I think I could have little holes for cups and things like that. Perhaps maybe that goes in and out of the body of the mouse. I'm not sure. So there's my sort of mouse themed chair. I'm just going to put my bold outline on that so it can maybe be seen a bit better. So I've got rounded edges to it. I've got the secondary function of a table. The other things I had to do was to make it mixed manufacturing method. So I imagine this would be, it's quite a big chunky, I'm going to think it's kind of plastic. So I'm going to say that could be rotational molded. Then I'm going to say that the side table is going to be injection molded because it would be a bit more solid. Whereas I think the chair would be hollow. And that's going to be my table. Pushes in and out. So your annotation at this stage is just about exploring ideas. I might go back to that in a bit more and talk about things that I would develop. But I'm trying to keep this video quite quick. So that's my first idea done as an oblique. Second idea, I was going to do it as an isometric, and for this one it's a three-legged chair. It's got to be inspired by a cat, it's going to be injection molded, it's got to have storage, and it's got to be sort of square in shape. So for an isometric, again, I'm going to start off with an isometric crate. Now it's important when we're drawing isometrics that we're using a 30-degree line. So a 30-degree line, if that was my right angle again, and there's my 45-degree line, my 30-degree line is about a, two-thirds of this up. So I'm going to say about there. That would be my 30-degree line. So when we're drawing an isometric crate, we will start with the center line of the crate. So when we're talking about crates, imagine the box that your chair might come in for Christmas. What size would it have to be? And that's the kind of proportions that I'm going for when I'm sketching out a crate. So what size would this box be to fit your chair in? Again, I'm going to post another video that goes into isometrics a bit more in detail. If you're struggling to keep up with this, I suggest you watch one of the how to draw an isometric videos that I'll post along with this. You can take your time and then you can come back to this. Right guys, so sketched out an isometric crate, nice and light. Now again, I want to begin to sketch on a sort of side view of my chair onto one of these sides. I think if I put it on this side, I'll get a better view of my chair. I'll see the front of it a bit more. So it's got to be a cat, it's got to be injection molded, it's got to have storage, and it's got to be kind of square. So I think when I'm starting off this, I like to start off chairs by just identifying roughly where I think the seat level would be. And on my cubes, it tends to be about the halfway point. It keeps it nice and simple. So I'm just identifying where the chair or the seat level would be. All these lines are 30 degrees. So I've identified my seat level. Now I've got to do an injection molded chair. So when I think injection molded chairs, I actually think of the typical school plastic chair that we've got. The tops of those would be injection molded, and then they tend to have a metal frame at the bottom. So I'm going to go for that kind of style, but I want to think about making it look like a cat. So I'm going to keep the seat quite square. Again, I think I'm going to go for ears on the back of my seat. I'm just going to make them a bit taller at the edges. That's where my ears are going to be. So that's my ears of my cat. This will be the back of the seat, and this will come along. That's the bottom of the seat. I'm just going to add a bit of depth to that. Let's see a bit of depth to this here now as well. And then, I don't know, I'm going to try and put some eyes on again. Perhaps these could be cut out and these could be sort of solid parts. That was cut out, I would see a bit of depth to the inside of it. Now, injection molded, so this would be the part of the chair that would be injection molded. Got to have storage in it, and it's got to be kind of square. So for the bottom of it, I'm going to try and keep it quite square, and I'm thinking just like a traditional wooden frame or something. So I'd keep my legs kind of square on it, I think. I've got my kind of square legs, and the last thing was storage, so I think I'll just put a tray underneath here. So there's my cat theme chair. Just going to put some annotation about my thoughts about how it could be made. So to start, when you're doing your designs, you know, are you thinking it could be injection molded? Would this be a wooden frame, a metal frame? Straight away, at an early stage in our design folios, we're beginning to talk about possible manufacture methods which would generate marks. So this is all about coming up with some ideas, but putting enough detail into them that we could perhaps go and develop this a bit further. So I'm going to say that's an injection molded seat. I've got wood frame storage, and that's about it. Could go back and annotate that as to why I like it, why I don't like it, but as I say, I'm just trying to keep this quite quick just now.